Good day, comic fam. It's Comics of the Voice here. We've got some more Transformers. It's another episode. This would be, what, number 3, third episode. Issues 21 to 30. Let's look at some of the keys in these. Ooh, I rhymed. Stay tuned. Alright, comic fam. Hope you guys are enjoying these things. Let's go through the next little batch of issues. So, this is issue number 21. The title of this one is called Aerial Bots Over America. And we've got our same creative team, Bob Budiansky, and the art's done by Don Perlin, Ian Atkin, and Brian Garvey. And the cover is done by Herb Trimp. So this one here has got a first appearance of the Aerial Bots. And the sling bolts. So the Aerial Bots is Slingshot, Silverbolt, Fireflight, Air Raid, and Skydive. And we've got Superion. They all transform together into one big giant robot called Superion. And we have the big battle with the Decepticons. So the Aerial Bots go on the offensive and go attack the coal mine where the Decepticons are, and they have a big huge battle there. Ooh, glare. Issue number 22 is one of those anniversaries. So this is the 1986 celebrating Marvel's 25th anniversary border. So they did a whole bunch of these things. And the 25th anniversary is to commemorate Fantastic Four #1, which was in 1961. So that's why they have there's a whole bunch of these with these borders. And they're very collectible. And there's some hard ones to find. Like the Heathcliff one, I think, is one. There's a few of them that are really oddball. Remember, I think the Smurfs did one. So this one's called Heavy Traffic. And we got the first team appearance of the Stunticons in this one. So, the Stunticons we've got in this one are Dead End, Wild Rider, Breakdown, Moto Master, Drag Strip, and then 5 of those combined to create Menasor. So this has been really popular now. We've got the Aerial Bots. Since the Autobots have stolen that technology from the Decepticons, from the Constructicons when they create Devastator, now the Autobots are going crazy and creating these 5 robots that can meld into the one big giant one. And this is going to carry on through the next several issues. It's great for Hasbro because they can sell us lots of toys, right? More Transformers. So in this one here, Circuit Breaker captures the 7 Autobots that came across the bridge from her team RAT, which is the Rapid Aerial something, the Rapid Anti-Robot Assault Team. There we go. And it's funded by the III. So she captures a whole bunch of the robots and some of the Autobots that came across the bridge. And then she captures a few more of them. And she's got that guy who called himself the Robot Master. And he's trying to convince her that some of the robots are not evil. And of course, all the ones that she's captured so far are the Autobots. She hasn't tangled with the Decepticons yet. And when she does tangle with the Decepticons, it is not good for her. Okay, this is issue 23. So they decide to do some graffiti. This one's called Decepticon Graffiti. The writer is Bob Budiansky again. We've got the art Don Perlin, Ian Atkin, and that's the same in this one too. Same creative team. It doesn't change much. So even though Key Collector app didn't catch this one, you know, I've got it written out on a few of them. First appearances, and I take them directly from Key Collector app. Well, they screwed up on this one. Pretty much every issue almost has a first appearance of somebody. So this one's got the first appearance of 2 Decepticons called Runabout and Runamuck that come across the bridge, and they just run around, and they started following this family who were, the son was a little juvenile delinquent and started putting graffiti up, and they thought, hey, that's a good idea, let's do graffiti. So they started putting all this graffiti all over the place for the humans to see. basically calling them wimps and idiots and losers and everything, but they were doing it in this transformer language so that the humans didn't know what the hell they were writing. And then they caught on to it and they decided to start doing it. They figured, let's do it in English so they can understand. So Megatron orders Runabout and Runamuck to deliver a message to Optimus Prime about a duel to the death. And instead they started doing the graffiti everywhere. And then what happens here? Short Circuit has 13 Autobots captured and dissected a few of them. And after 2 Decepticons, she has a fight with them, and she gets wounded again and relieved of her command because she tangles with these guys and they don't hold out any bars where the Autobots would hold back, and that's why she was able to capture them so easily. But these guys, the Decepticons, she got the crap kicked out of her because they were starting to attack other humans and she was trying to help them. So she gets relieved of her command of her rat pack there, and she decides to go make a deal because, again, that robot master convinces her that the Autobots are good. So she makes a deal with the ones that she has, and if they help her fight the Decepticons, she'll let them go. So she does that, and then she gets fired from the Rat Pack completely because she defeats the Decepticons and she ends up releasing them. So that was cool. Then we have our big battle to the death. Issue 24. This one's called After Death. First appearance of a kid named Ethan Zachary, and he's a gamer and a programmer that works at a company called Energy Futures Industry. And this one is the first team appearance of the Protectobots, who they combine to make Defensor. And there's a first team appearance of the Combaticons in US Comics, and then those guys join together to create Bruticus. And then, of course, this is the death of Optimus Prime in this one. Writer is Bob Budiansky, and the art Don Perlin, Ian Atkin, and Brian Garvey. And then, again, the covers are done by Herb Trimp. So the Protecticons are Hotspot, Streetwise, First Aid, Blades, and Groove. And the Combaticons are Swindle, Brawl, Vortex, Blastoff, and Onslaught. So in this one here, the Autobots discover that there's a chip inside of Optimus Prime, the one that one of the Insecticons put into him and they were observing. And they figure that out because Ratchet takes it out of his head. And then they figure out that they can flip the switch on this thing and spy on the Decepticons. So they find out that the Decepticons are going to attack this plant that has this device that can harness the Earth's heat into energy, and they figure, okay, if they steal that, they can basically get all the energy they want and send it all back to Cybertron. So of course there's a big showdown between the Autobots and the Decepticons, and they both are flexing their muscles, and they realize, they're going to probably decimate this entire facility. So this Ethan guy comes out and says, hey, look, instead of you guys destroying the prize, why don't I insert both teams into this computer simulator and you guys can duke it out in the simulator? And of course Megatron says, well, yeah, I'll agree to that if the loser basically gets destroyed. So Optimus and Megatron both set themselves to the point where they could explode, and there's a trigger control that Ethan will have control of, and whoever the loser is, that button gets pressed and their physical body will be destroyed. So they go into the simulator and they're battling, and the Autobots find that there's some creatures inside there, or programs, NPC characters, that are getting hurt, and they protect them just like they would any other creature. And of course Megatron finds this code called After Death because he gets defeated, but he has a cheat code, and he uses the cheat code to come back and attack Optimus. And Optimus still defeats him, but some of the NPC characters get destroyed in the process, so Megatron loses twice. But at the end, Optimus is so upset about the loss of the NPC characters that he says to Ethan that he's the one that's lost, not Megatron, so he needs to be destroyed. So Ethan triggers the explosion and blows Optimus to pieces. So the Decepticons get the prize and they leave, and the Autobots take their fallen leader. But unbeknownst to them, Ethan has copied Optimus's consciousness onto a disk. So even though his body is destroyed, his consciousness will live on. Because we know in Marvel and in all comics, you can't sell books if all your main characters are dead. So there's got to be a resurrection of some type. The multiverse is a great one for that. So we just go to another universe, everybody's alive again, reset. So this one here is issue 25. It's called Gone But Not Forgotten. And we got Megatron's last stand here. So this is the first appearance of the Predacons. And they combine to make the Predaking. So the Predacons are Razor Claw, Headstrong, Rampage, Tantrum, and Dive Bomb. And we got the same creative team: Bob Budiansky, Don Perlin, Ian Atkin, Brian Garvey, and then the cover is Herb Trimpe. So in this one here, Megatron contacts Cybertron and tells them that he has the device that can convert the ocean on the Earth to energy. And he makes his base on Cobra Island. So this is kind of a crossover between the G.I. Joe and the Transformers, because the Decepticons have made deals with the Cobra Commander to work with the Cobra. So they go to the Cobra Islands, and there's a bunch of little islands, and they take over an island and make a new base there, because their one on mainland has been compromised, basically. So Shockwave sends a separate message to Cybertron and has the Predacons come to Earth to attack Megatron, because he wants the leadership still. So the Autobots... he defends, programmed and found out that Shockwave sent them. He has the Decepticons, the Predacons, disguised as Autobots. They got the Autobot badge all over them, so it looks like the Autobots are attacking the Decepticons, or Megatron. So once he finds out he was betrayed by Shockwave, he goes to destroy him. And then he tells Megatron that he transferred part of his consciousness into the Predacons, so if he destroys Shockwave's body, he won't destroy Shockwave completely. And then Megatron realizes, wait, somewhere deep down in his brain there, he goes, wait a minute, that Ethan kid there, he copied Optimus's frickin' consciousness onto a disc. That means that Optimus is still alive. So he's frickin' just goes absolutely apeshit. He's up on the space bridge and he's shooting everything, and he blows himself up and the space bridge. So now we don't know if Megatron is destroyed or not. So now we've got Optimus and Megatron out of the picture, but we know he's coming back. Of course he's going to come back. Boom, now we got the mechanic back in the picture again. So this one here is called Funeral for a Friend. Actually, no, this is the first time we have the mechanic, I think, in this one. Optimus Prime's funeral. So we got writer Bob Budiansky, arts Don Perlin, Brett Breeding. And again, Herb Trimpe is the cover artist. So the Autobots prepare for a funeral for Optimus. They're going to put him. Ratchet puts his whole body back together, and he tries to revive him, and finds out there's no spark left. So they're going to stick his body in a ship and launch him into space. But Ratchet has no desire to go to the funeral, so he stays back at the Ark. And they have all these defense systems put into place, and they have this mechanical arm that'll turn on and off remotely all the defenses. So this mechanic guy here, he's a criminal, and he finds out about the Ark because Ratchet leaves the Ark and finds this auto wreckers to get some parts for some of the damaged Autobots. And this criminal guy is there, and the police end up showing up when he's trying to do some kind of deal. And Ratchet quickly transforms back into an ambulance because he doesn't want to be seen. And this mechanic guy here takes him to his base of operations with the police chasing after him. And he takes all the weapons and stuff off the wall, which he thinks are weapons, but they're surgical tools, and he defeats the police with them. And then when Ratchet turns into a robot at their facility and confronts them, he uses the weapons on Ratchet and freezes Ratchet. And then they think, wait, he's one of those big giant robots, so we can get all these cool weapons and stuff, and we can figure out where he goes to his base. So the mechanic and his henchmen decide to hide and wait for Ratchet to defrost. And when Ratchet defrosts, he heads back to the Ark, and these guys follow him. And since they're so small, the defenses don't even notice them. So he sneaks into the base, takes that control arm that turns on and off the defenses, and he turns it on and takes it, and he attacks Ratchet basically with these tools and disables him. So then all the Autobots come back from the funeral after launching Optimus into space, and the Ark attacks them. And Ratchet's trying to figure out how to defeat this frickin' guy when he's been disabled, but without killing him. So he takes Prowl, who's in stasis, and he had found these police lights and stuff at the wreckers, and he puts Prowl back together and makes Prowl transform into a cop car because, you know, that's the guy's weakness. He sees the police, he freaks out. So that's exactly how they defeated him. So Prowl came around the corner, he's in police car mode, and the mechanic freaks out and goes, oh shit, the cops are going to come and get me. And he runs away, basically. He scares them off. And then Ratchet's able to shut off the defenses and go help the rest of the Autobots. So that was kind of a cool episode, or issue. Now on to number 27. This one's called King of the Hill. Again, Bob Budiansky and Don Perlin, but no, there's first appearances in here, but nothing in Key Collector app. So if Key Collector app, you're watching this, I'm doing the work for you guys because, you know, you got to read the books. So this is the first appearance of Rat-Bat, Trypticon, which is this guy, and Wipeout. So Trypticon is like this giant dinosaur robot, and he turns into this base that has all these weapons and stuff on it, which is really cool. And he has a car that's in him that's called Wipeout, and that's kind of his reconnaissance minion. So Rat-Bat is like a cassette. He looks like a little bat, and they call him Rat-Bat. And he's still on Cybertron, and he's in charge of energy, basically the energy auditor. So he's watching the input. So Grimlock now shows up at the Autobots base at the Ark and wants to put his hat in the ring for leadership, because now the Autobots are trying to figure out who the new leader is going to be. And he brings his Dinobots nearby, and there's a bunch of human scientists that are up in the wilderness looking at dinosaur bones and stuff, and they come across the tracks, and they're like, oh, these are neat. But then the professor's like, no, they're not real dinosaur tracks. Look at how square they are. These are fakes. And then, of course, Shockwave contacts Cybertron, since, you know, now he's in charge because Megatron blew himself up on the bridge, and asks for reinforcements to attack the Ark. And Rat-Bat sends the Trypticon and Wipeout to attack the Autobots' Ark. And they almost defeat them just with this giant thing, until the Dinobots come in and they save the day. Grimlock doesn't want to see the Autobots get defeated, but the rest of the Dinobots are like, yeah, just let this guy take them all out, and then we'll just walk in and take over the command of whoever's left. But Grimlock secretly doesn't want to do that, so because he's a noble character, he goes in and attacks this thing and takes it out. And then, of course, at the end, Grimlock becomes the leader of the Autobots now. But he's not a smart guy. He's really dumb, right? The Dinobots are not the highest in the intellect. So now we're on to issue 28. This one's called Mechanical Difficulties. So writers Bob Budiansky and then Don Perlin on the art. So in this one here, the frickin' mechanic is back because he's taken those tools from Ratchet, and he's made himself quite the little empire in the underworld. So what he's been doing is he created a little base of operations, and he's just been stealing all kinds of shit, because with that wrench thing that he stole from the Ark, he can lift massive, huge, heavy things. So he's stealing some radar dish from an airport, I guess to have like an early warning defense for his facility. And he's making all these vehicles with weapons for the mobsters, and he's charging them like $50,000 a piece, and if they don't say yes to his demands, he just strips their car and throws them. He takes this one guy and throws him in his wrecked car and throws him into a lake. So he's just basically being a big old bully. What happens in here? So Bumblebee in this one comes back, and he renames himself Goldbug. So he doesn't want to be called Bumblebee anymore. So he's Goldbug, and Blaster are sent out by Grimlock to figure out where this mechanic guy is and, you know, get their technology back off of him. And of course they fail to do that because these young punks see the car parked there and see the boombox on the dash, and they go to break the window, and Bumblebee just drives away. And then the cops kind of get onto this too, because the cops are still after this mechanic guy, whose actual real name is, what is his real name? They get his jacket basically, and they see he's been a 2-time failed car thief for a long time. Nestor Forbes. So he's a small-time car thief, but now, with the transformer technology, he's building weaponized cars and stuff. So the police decide to set him up, and they let out in the news that there's going to be transporting of some kind of technology that he's going to want. And they sit and wait for him. And then, of course, he shows up, and the Autobots find out about it too, and they're there. And he attacks the Autobots. And then the police turn on the Autobots too. So that gives the mechanic a chance to escape again. So then they find out from Wheeljack at the Ark, because they go back to the Ark and tell him that they failed, and Grimlock's all pissed off, and he's getting all these different crowns. Since he's the leader now, he wants to be like Starscream and have crowns. He gets mad at them and sends them back out, but Wheeljack figured out how to track that robot army thing that would turn on and off the Ark's defenses, because they could activate it by remote. So every time the mechanic uses it, Blaster now can track it. So they track him back to his base, and then of course the cops are following, and they find out where the base is, and then the Autobots decide to work together with them. So Blaster turns back into his radio, and the one detective just walks into their base with the Blaster, acting like he's listening to the tunes, and he shows his badge and goes, "You guys are all under arrest." And they're like, "Wow, he's a dumb cop, man. He shows up with just a frickin' radio and he's gonna attack us." And they got all their weapons. So of course Blaster turns into the robot and takes all of them out and saves the day. Well, unfortunately, Goldbug, I was going to call him Bumblebee, but Goldbug drives in, and the mechanic sticks a magnet on him and pulls him up in the air, and he escapes again. So the mechanic ends up sliding out the door once again, while the cops and Blaster are taking out all the rest of the bad guys in there. Because what happened was the mechanic decided to use all these robot cars with the weapons and shit to attack Blaster, but then he used his sonic gun that disrupted them, and then the cars destroyed each other instead. So, another neat issue. Now we're on to number 29. So we're back with our Key Collector app. So this one's called Crater Critters. Is the first team appearance of the Scraplets and the Triple Changers. So the Triple Changers they have in this on Cybertron are Astrotrain, Blitzwing, and Octane, which are 3 Decepticons. And we got the writer Bob Budiansky again, Don Perlin, Ian Atkin, and Brian Garvey. And the cover was done by Bob Budiansky. All the artwork, including the cover, were done by all those guys. So in this one here, Bumblebee, which is now Goldbug, and Buster just decided to leave the Autobots because they're sick of Grimlock's stupidity. And they decide to go out on their own and fight the Decepticons by themselves. So there's a ship that crashes to Earth, and it's got a transformer disease on board of it called the Scraplets. There's these little nut bolts and stuff. They transform into little tiny robots, and they attack the Autobots, and actually all Transformers, and start eating them away. And there's only one known cure, but it's a very rare element that's not available on Cybertron. But Earth has got 3/4 of the planet covered in it, so they're good. But they don't discover that the cure is water till later. So what happens is there's 5 Autobots. Was there Autobots? Yeah, there were Autobots that were on Cybertron that attack a Decepticon fuel depot to try and steal some fuel. Or is that in the next episode? That's actually the next issue. Yeah, it is, because they're brand new ones. So in this one here, it's just Blaster and Goldbug against the Triple Changers. So it's a 2-parter, right? So there's this is part 1 and then part 2. So the Decepticons are sent to Earth to recapture that ship, because the ship was actually a Decepticon ship. It was contracted out to some robot to deliver these little microchips that can control humans on the ship. And then he flew through a cloud of these Scraplets, and they attacked his ship and made him crash the ship on Earth. So Ratbat sends the Triple Changers through to retrieve the chips, so they can make a slave labor force out of the Earthlings. And when they show up, they get infected by the Scraplets too. And then Blaster and Goldbug show up, and they get infected by it as well. And Goldbug and Blaster attack. Well, Blaster attacks the triple changers, and then Goldbug runs away, and Blaster thinks he's a a coward now. But Goldbug had the help of a human scientist who was at the site to check out the crash. They thought it was a meteorite, and then the military came in and told them to get out. And this one doctor, I think his name was Walter, wanted to get in there real bad, so he made a deal with Goldbug so that he could drive close and bring Blaster in there as some kind of technology that he fooled the guards and let him in. And of course the battle started, and then Goldbug fled with the doctor to try and find a cure to save Blaster, and then Blaster gets captured by the triple changers. And that's where they kind of leave it at the end there, where the human scientist is driving and then eventually pushing Goldbug, because Goldbug's been infected by these things too, and it just starts to eat away at everything. And they kind of leave us hanging at that because we don't know what's going to happen until the next issue, which I just talked about again, where we've got Key Collector didn't tell us about the brand new characters in this one. So this one here is issue 30. See, we got Grimlock up here now instead of Megatron, or sorry, Optimus. So we used to have Optimus up there, now we've got Grimlock because he's the new boss. So this issue is called The Cure, and again, Bob Budiansky and the art Don Perlin. So this is the first appearance of Chase, Freeway, Searchlight, Wide Load, and Rollbar, and together they are the Throttlebots. So on Cybertron, yeah, they get captured by Ratbat, attacking a fuel depot of the Decepticons to try and get fuel for their group. Because I don't even know if they're Autobots. I don't think they're affiliated with anybody. Because on Cybertron, you do have the two warring factions, but then you got civilian population that aren't affiliated with either one, that don't have the symbols. So I think these Throttlebots might be one of those groups where they just were attacking the Decepticons to get fuel. They get captured, and Ratbat doesn't want to risk any more Decepticons sending them to Earth, so he wants these guys to go to Earth and bring acid to basically just wipe everything out, because this disease is way too dangerous and they don't have the cure. And that's when Bumblebee gets pushed by Dr. Walter into a gas station and accidentally drops water on Bumblebee, or sorry, Goldbug, and finds out that kills the what do they call these things? The scat bots. It's right there. These guys. Scraplets. Yeah, Scraplets. See, I got the information right at hand there. So, of course, now with the water, finds out that kills these things. Bumblebee, or Goldbug, calls BlackRock and says, because they're out in the middle of the desert, of course this has to happen in the desert and water's scarce out there. He calls BlackRock and says, hey man, can you send us a couple of tankers full of water so we can destroy this stuff? And a big battle ensues, and somehow these Scraplets can combine and create this giant robot, and they take one of the water containers and destroy it. And then of course, Goldbug saves the day and gets the other one and sprays the Decepticons and Blaster, to Blaster's dismay, because he wants them to just throw the acid down and destroy them. And what he does is he sprays the water on them, saves the Decepticons and Blaster, and then of course the Decepticons help, and they immediately attack the Scraplets that have turned into this giant monster, and they eventually defeat it. But unfortunately, the Decepticons get away with the chips. And then, of course, as they're going to flee with the chips, they fire one of them at BlackRock himself, and it hits his head and does some kind of weird flashy thing and then falls off. So now he's going to be part of the brainwashed group that Ratbat will have control of, which is kind of a neat little tidbit for the future. So that's the next 10 issues of, oh, look at that, Transformers. So the next episode I will do 31 to 40. So I should be able to do, 3 more episodes, yeah, because I'll be able to do 41 to 50, and then 51 to however many I got left, and then after that, I'll do the Transformer movie and then the universe. So I hope you guys enjoyed me rambling on about each issue and what's happening in each issue. It's kind of cool to rediscover these books again, because I don't think I've read them since I originally read them back in the 80s and then put them in the bags. Even when I rebagged everything, I don't think I went through very many books and reread them again, although that was a good opportunity. I took them out, took pictures, put them in a bag, but I had thousands and thousands of books, and it took me over 2 years to rebag and board everything. So we'll see you guys on the next one, and take care.